always love Mondays during football season, not because we've got Monday Night Football, not because we're coming off a whole weekend, but we get to be Monday morning quarterbacks, as they say. We get to rehash everything, talk about all the mistakes. Good morning, everybody. Welcome. It's the Manchild Show with Boy Green Digital, our live Monday show. Don't forget to like us, follow us. We're only 30 subscribers away from giving away the David Tyree autographed photo framed sitting on my wall, so it's going out the door. Hopefully sooner rather than later. Maybe we can get to that magic 300 by the end of this week. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell everyone so that you can have a chance to win this. And we've got other great prizes once Tyree goes out the door. Now we're going to give out some other things as well. We got some cool Jim Boeheim posters. One of them is autographed. I got a lot of things, Boy Green. I don't know what I'm throwing out there yet, but like I said, the entire walls of our old radio studio essentially are being, given away to our many, many listeners and dedicated subscribers. So you have to subscribe to be in it. Once you subscribe, as long as you stay a subscriber, you will be in it for any of the prizes we give away, starting with the David Tyree autographed photo. All right, but look, we've got a lot to get to. I mean, my goodness. What a weekend of football. A lot of it ugly and sloppy. I mean, Boy Green, we'll get into it maybe in detail a little bit later. But when I see teams scoring a total of 8 points, 6 points, 12 points, 13 points, 13 points, 9 points. We had some winners that scored 14 points, 17 points, 17 points. Ugh, yuck is all I could say. It had a little taste of the preseason to it, that we've gone to this shorter preseason schedule, and I'm just not sure whether the teams are really ready to go in week one. So, but there were, of course, some gems, and two of them right on the New York scene. We're going to get to them first. The Jets and the Pittsburgh Steelers, 34-32 is the final, but it was a back and forth seesaw affair. Aaron Rodgers does get his revenge on the Jets, which has to hurt, Boy Green. It has to be painful. I was so rooting for your Jets. So upset that Rodgers, who ends up throwing 4 touchdowns, come on. I mean, they were racking that old man for a while. They were making him feel old, and they still let him get away with it in the end. I was so angry watching that game. And then, of course, it has to be an instant classic. This is going to be one of the best games of the year, if not end up being the best game of the year. We'll see. Hopefully there are more games like this to come. But the Buffalo Bills finding a way on Sunday Night Football with some of the Mafia leaving, heading to their cars. This thing's over. We're more than halfway through the fourth. Our team's down 3 scores. It's not happening tonight. And Josh Allen put on his cape and look out. Da-da-da-da! Superman. Holy crow. And the Bills pull it out 41-40. What a football game. Oh, if you went to bed. Oh, if you missed the end of it. You're just shooting yourself in the foot. An instant classic on Sunday Night Football. Boy Green, start with either appetizers. We got 2 wonderful things at the buffet table. Take it wherever you want, my friend.
Yeah, I'll start off there with that Bills-Ravens game. And Josh Allen even called out the fans during his one-on-one on Sunday Night Football as game balls are being handed out. He said, Bills Mafia, noticed a bunch of you were leaving with 5 minutes to go. At that point, they were down 15 points with 5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. So I noticed a lot of you guys leaving. It's all right. Just clean it up for next time. Have a little more faith, he says, next time. So Josh Allen throwing a shot at Bills Mafia, who's supposed to be this passionate fan base that's all in on their team. That was a little questionable. But I'll tell you, I mean, just the Ravens just look like the better team from pillar to post, A to Z. Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson. Their defense is supremely talented. They've just got a lot of really good players. And Anthony Prohaska said it last week that he believes the Ravens are the best team in football. When you just look at their roster, like, look at this thing. This thing is stacked all over the place. And it looked that way for much of the game. And Josh Allen doing Josh Allen things, to your point, putting on the cape and making some unbelievable plays. But come on, did the Bills win it or did the Ravens lose it? We always talk about that on Monday Morning Quarterback. And Derrick Henry gets the ball stripped. He's having an unbelievable game for the ages.
169 yards, running amok. That guy he's ageless. Just when is Derrick Henry going to slow down? I think never.
Yeah, so hopefully you guys got him in fantasy if you had the opportunity to do so, because he was spectacular. And he fumbles the ball, the Bills jump right on it, and immediately get back into the game. And there's just this sense of disbelief, like, you've got to be kidding me. Are the Ravens ravening? We talk about that with the Chargers and certain other teams. The Ravens are another one of those teams that have found a lot of creative ways to lose. It's unbelievable that they lost that game. And for Matt Prater, a guy they signed on Thursday as the kicker, because Tyler Bass, their kicker, has to go on injured reserve and miss at least the first 4 weeks of the season. He jumps on a red eye from Arizona to be ready for this game. He doesn't even know his teammates' names, he was saying. And with a very unique situation with the amount of timeouts the Ravens had and what the Bills had available, what ultimately had to play out for the Bills as they're playing the game with the Ravens and forcing them to use their timeouts is it was 4th and goal with 30 seconds to go, but clock running. So the Bills could not stop the clock. So they had to run out the field goal unit and line it all up, but also try to maximize all the time on the clock. If they mess up, let's say I'll start game over. It's a running clock, 10-second runoff, and they lose the game. So they had to be focused. And again, for a guy who just showed up days earlier, unbelievable. So big salute to the Bills. They pulled it out. But I think really, to me, the story is the Ravens blowing it versus the Bills seizing it.
These older kickers, I mean, the Giants have Graham Gano. He's got to be around 40. You know, there are a handful of them. They're invaluable. It's the been there, done that factor. And Prater is one of those guys. And you wonder 4 weeks into the season, I mean, especially if Prater starts the season hot, as clearly he has in game one, the Bills might have a tough decision about what are they going to do with Tyler Bass. Do you just bring this guy back and you show your loyalty to that guy and let Prater go? I mean, man, Prater's already like etched in the annals of Bills history by this epic performance and kicking this game-winning field goal in a critical game that many think could decide the number one seed. Is this game a telltale of things to come in terms of who's going to win the AFC title and get back to the Super Bowl? Certainly the Chiefs didn't look like world beaters, so I think we can listen, the Chiefs will have better days, and the Chargers are not a laughing stock team, but the Chiefs are going to regress this year. I said it before the season started. I'm not just saying it because of what we saw on Friday. I believed it before the season started, and Friday helped convince me it's a lot closer to being true than not being true. Now, look, I'd never put, anything against Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid and what they can concoct, but concocting something and having the roster to get there are two very different things. The Bills and the Ravens look like they are rostered to win. The Chiefs, it's like they're trying to survive. They're trying to keep the dynasty together. You've got an aging Travis Kelce. You've got a wide receiving core, especially now with Xavier Worthy likely to miss at least several weeks, if not more. We'll see. We still don't have an official on him, but it was a separated shoulder. I mean, even if they go non-surgery, that's going to be weeks. I mean, absolutely weeks. Is it 6? Is it 7? Is it 8? Is it half the season? It could be. If he gets surgery, it might be most of the season. And that's, to me, outside of Rashee Rice, who they're not getting back to week 7, their next best receiver. So he was going to be number 1 for a while. It's one of the reasons why I drafted him in a couple of fantasy leagues. And I am ouching my way right now through fantasy and searching a waiver wire for a plausible replacement at receiver because, yikes, I'm losing my top guy in a couple of leagues. So, interesting times for sure. But I'm just not a believer in Kansas City this year. They'll be credible. They have an easy schedule. They're still going to have a good record. But I think the real contenders to me in the AFC are those two teams that we saw last night. I mean, they just look the part. What a back and forth battle. It really looked like the Ravens had them. And the Bills just didn't give up. That was a really great performance by Josh Allen. Boy Green, he had 251 yards in the fourth quarter alone throwing the ball. That's in a singular quarter. Go look at all the quarterbacks over the weekend. I don't know how many, but I'm sure it's a lot. Had less than 251 yards in a game. This guy did it in a quarter. My goodness. I mean, come on now. You just have to applaud that, man. Like I said at the beginning of the show here, he put on his cape and it was like Superman. Ba, 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 ba. I mean, my goodness. That was fantastic. Now, look, the Ravens, they had to turn it over. They had to make mistakes, and they made one big one. And Derrick Henry, of all people, who fumbled the ball a total of 3 times the entire season last year, is the guy that ends up making the critical mistake. But the Bills were ready. They capitalized. They just scratched and clawed. They never believed it was over. until that whistle blew, and they got it right to the end and got Matt Prater out there for that kick. It's remarkable. What a great win for Buffalo Bills fans.
Very much so. So you said how many passing yards did Josh Allen have in the fourth quarter?
251 in the fourth quarter.
Okay. How many quarterbacks do you think had more than 251 passing yards in week one?
So
Again, we still have a game tonight.
Not below the number. We're going to go above the number.
Above number, yeah.
Right, well, we're not counting tonight's game.
Right.
So who knows if either one of those two are going to go over.
Right, who knows? Yeah.
So how many went over? I'm going to say
251 yards passing, yeah.
I'm going to say this might be too many, but I'm going to guess 5.
It is 9, actually. So
9? Wow.
9 were able to do it. Here are the quarterbacks in order. Josh Allen, Geno Smith, Justin Herbert, Michael Penix Jr., Joe Flacco, Drake May, Brock Purdy, Daniel Jones, of course, and Patrick Mahomes.
What a game Jones had. We can get into that later.
Boy, wow. Daniel Jones, QB1. So there you go. There are the 9 in order. Patrick Mahomes just barely went above that line on the Friday Night Football game. So there you have it. But no, just to your point, though, like Josh Allen, they were up against it, and that's the worst place to be. So in some sense, some people may try to denigrate Josh Allen's passing numbers because he's like, okay, they were down 1 million points. Of course they had to throw. But still, when you're a one-dimensional offense and you can only throw, that means the Ravens pass rushers can pin their ears back and go to town.
And the Ravens have one of the best secondaries in all of football. You could argue they have the best secondary in all of football, and they threw against that, knowing that they were passing every single down. That was, that's doing it the right way. Look, we're going to talk about Jets, Giants, and Bills extensively. We might get into some of the other peripheral games here in our live show today. So if you want to get into the comments and throw anything out about any of those, we can kind of bounce around. I see my Giant faithful Phil has already popped in there, so I'll pop him up on the screen. He says, Manchild, Giants looked awful. Hope they don't play dart. They have no line. Boy Green, what did I say to you before we came on the air? Yeah. Please don't do it. They're going to be tempted. You can see it in Dable's face already. He's like, what am I going to do? Who's going to save me? He needs the savior, and he's going to go to Jaxson Dart. And look, I think that Dart could have avoided some of the sacks and the pressures that Wilson ended up taking. I just think Wilson, it was collapsing early on him, and then I just think he got happy feet, and he just started panicking, and he just wasn't looking down the field. And I know he didn't have much time, but he just wasn't executing the way that he needed to execute. I think Dart could have been a little more elusive, would have been a little more elusive, but it would not have been the difference. And I agree with you, Phil. I do not want Jaxson Dart going out there and being lunch meat for some team, okay, while he tries to learn on the fly. This is not ideal. To me, you can't even think about putting him in there until Andrew Thomas is back. You can't even think about it. Now, Thomas, Ed Valentine said it. I saw we were getting some comments on that video. What do you mean he's playing? He didn't play. Ed Valentine was right. And Valentine said he wouldn't be surprised if he didn't play for the first 2 or 3 weeks, okay? So Giant fans, don't get all uppity, okay, about Andrew Thomas will be back next week because they might wait the 2 or 3 weeks to get him 100% so that he can play out the rest of the season injury-free with that foot at least. And I think it's worth it, in all honesty, if you're a Giants fan. I know you want to win games and you want to be competitive, but you got to get that guy's just so important to the line. But I'm not even sure the return of Andrew Thomas flips everything. I know the other guys are playing different positions, so it brings guys back to their natural position. That should help. But that line was a sieve yesterday. That was an embarrassment. We scored 6 points in a game. I mean, come on. I don't care who you are. 6 points. I think that was. Yeah, it was. I'm looking at all the scores. I wrote them down. That's the lowest amount of points in a game. Miami, who got murdered by Indianapolis, still managed 8 points. The Giants managed 2 stinking field goals in a football game. Yikes. Yes, Giant fans, not too happy today. Sorry.
But real quick on the Giants thing, just because we're there, this is the reason why Phil is saying, I hope not, because Giants head coach Brian Dable after the game did not commit to Russell Wilson as even the week 2 starter, which has opened the Jaxson door. Here's some more Jaxson Dart door, of that potentially coming on. When he was asked if he would consider starting Jaxson Dart next week, he said, quote, "We're going to get home and look at our game." And this is the interpretation of Jordan Renan from ESPN. Nothing the Giants coach said afterwards seemed to offer any significant clarity either. quote, "Yeah, we're just right here after the game. I've got confidence. We have to do better overall, coaches, players, and everybody. So we'll get focused and we'll get ready for Dallas." He kept avoiding answering the question, that's weird.
I was going to say he did do one thing, Boy Green, and that is he said at least once in the post-game comments that he believed it wasn't Russell Wilson's fault. Okay.
I did not see that.
That's the one thing he did say is, essentially, I think he was trying to say nicely, like, I'm not today. That offensive line stunk. Okay. That's what he wanted to say. He doesn't want to, denigrate his guys, but he said, that wasn't on Russell Wilson, was kind of what he said. I think those might have been his exact words or close to it. That wasn't on Russell Wilson. Wilson.
So is there something to read here or not? On this Jaxson Dart, is the door open based on his comments?
There's something. Okay. I mean, yes. If you're not going to be emphatic and you're not going to say, no, Russell's still our starter, please stop asking the questions. I'll let you know if and when there's going to be a change. That wasn't Russell's fault. That wasn't Russell's bad. We're moving forward with Russell next week. The minute you don't say that, you of course are already thinking of, there's no doubt. He's looking. I don't know that he's got a date in mind yet. I don't know what he's got in mind. I mean, he'd love for the Giants to get a few wins so his hand isn't forced. But if they start the season, 0-3, 0-4, it's over. I mean, and it could be 0-1. It might be 0-1 and it's over. If he sees that, he believes that Dart could have created more time, got a few of those passes out, shook a few of those rushers, then he's going to go to him. The funny thing about it, too, I was thinking about this morning, is a number of years ago, I'm going to say 10-ish years ago, maybe even a little less, Russell Wilson was playing for Seattle, and their line got badly damaged, badly hurt. There was several guys on the line that got hurt, and he was running for his life the whole season, but he survived it because he was just a really elusive guy. He's always had that kind of ability to slink around in that pocket and not get caught, and he had a wonderful season that year where their line was a sieve. So I was just hoping, could they turn back the clock a little bit and Russell, gets mobile Russell back. But I mean, you see some of the hits he took? I mean, he took one like under the chin. We got like thrown back. I was like, oh my God, how's he getting up from that? Like, he took some brutal hits in that game. Brutal.
Yeah.
So,
and let's note our NFL insider, Matt Lombardo, who joins us every week for our picks against the spread segment, which we'll get to that at some point. When you go through that entire process, he said, circle the date on the Giants schedule, week 5, New Orleans Saints. Now, maybe it doesn't even make it there based on the latest intel.
I know.
But he had that game circled because here are the next couple of games for the Giants. They travel to Dallas to play the Cowboys, who look very game against the Eagles in the season opener against the Philadelphia Eagles.
Don't you think? I mean, let's just start with the Cowboys. I'll let you get all the games out in a second. The Cowboys don't have Parsons. Okay, Parsons is a game wrecker. He's not there.
Right.
The Giants line didn't play well this week.
They did not.
The Giants have to smell blood in the water that if they're going to get an early season win, because we know how tough the schedule is. I'll let you go through the next bunch of games. This might be a gettable one. I know it's in Dallas, but Dallas is not, I don't think they're going to be a great team. They're 0-1, just like the Giants. I know they play better than the Giants.
They look really good,
better team than the Giants. But to me, you have to look at that game as potentially gettable with Parsons not there. And maybe they are going to just pull the trigger early. Just go, let's go. Let's just
that
go.
Would
let's
be
just let the Band-Aid off. Let's go.
In Dallas. That would be bold.
I know. It would be bold.
As the start to that.
I don't think it really helps the growth of this young quarterback, which I think should be the number one thing that the franchise should be thinking about. But Brian Dable's got bigger things to think about, like whether or not he's going to be a head coach in the NFL next year. And if he thinks he's got anything in the toolbox that could help him keep his job, guess what he's going to do? He's going to use that tool. Wouldn't you?
Sure.
I mean, wouldn't you? Let's put ourselves all in Brian Dable's shoes for a second.
Not in week 2.
I know, but I'm just saying, if you think you've got something in the toolbox that gets you a W, okay, you're going to use it. And if he thinks Dart can get them a W, he's going to use it. I'm
Maybe
that they throw him out there. I don't want them to throw him out there.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, if I'm Dable and I'm desperate, because here's the thing. I think the Giants are and we can all debate this, I guess, but I think they're a world-class organization or have been historically, multiple Super Bowls, iconic franchise, all these other things. I'd be surprised, no matter how it goes here, Brian Dable, that he gets fired midseason. That would surprise me. Although it's happened before. Who was the one that got fired middle of the season? Who was that? Who's the mustache guy? Ben McAdoo?
Oh, McAdoo.
He was the interim guy, right?
McAdoo got
Yeah. So there you go. So anywho. But the point is, if I'm Ryan Dable, unless it goes horrifically wrong, I don't see him getting fired midseason. So you have the Jaxson Dart thing in your back pocket, is what I'm saying. And that if you're like, oh boy, my only chance to save my job is to show that Dart had something. And hey, look, if you really want this to be maximized and you want to see him take the next step, you've got to bring me back, or else you're going to jeopardize this young quarterback's career. And do you want to do that, Giants? So, like, that's what I would say. So this would feel a little bit early from that perspective, but, I don't know. But I would say, so here's that schedule alert. So at Dallas, week 2. But don't worry, the Giants have back-to-back home games. It just happened to be against the Kansas City Chiefs and the LA Chargers in back-to-back games.
Yeah, that's not good.
And then week 5, they're at New Orleans. And then here's just the next couple. Why not? Let's see. Week 5. Week 6, they're home for the Eagles in a primetime game. Then they're at Denver and at Philadelphia. I mean, that is just a murder.
There just aren't a lot of wins there. There just aren't a lot of wins. I
just don't see it.
So doesn't this Dallas game look promising, Paul? When you look at what's in front of you,
I guess comparatively.
You see Dallas and you see New Orleans. And you say, okay, those are 2 winnable games. You look at those other games. How winnable are those games?
Yeah,
Not very. Not very. I mean, you got to play superior football to beat any of those teams, and some of them are on the road.
Yeah,
we said it before the season started, and they have a brutal schedule. And you're going to throw Jaxson Dart to the Wolves under those games. Like, then you should have just started him yesterday.
Right. Then what was the point? Right.
You just should have started him yesterday. If the point is to develop this guy properly and not put him in there before he's 100% ready and has full command, okay, then really these wins and losses should not matter. It really should just come down to when he's ready, and that's it. But when you've got a GM and a coach worried about their job, it changes everything. It changes everything. We can talk some more about the Giants.
Yeah,
but the Giants weren't the game that we should be leading the show with today and talking about. Phil, thank you for your question, by the way. We should be talking about the Jets. We should be talking about the Bills. We got a little bit on the Bills. Let's jump over to the Jets for a little bit. So, I mean, you're Mr. Jet. You want to win the Super Bowl every year. I know. You're out of your mind, but you see everything through green colored glasses. But I mean, is this promising? Like, how do you come out of this one? Do you come out of this one just like, oh, exactly what Jake Asman said? One thing we don't want is for Aaron Rodgers to come out there and give us a great performance and stick it to us, and that's kind of what happened here. Although it took a Boswell 60-yard field goal, which, Boswell's a very good kicker, but he's not specialized in the 60-yarder. So, and he really thumped that one. That was a wonderful kick.
Great kick.
Gotta give credit where credit is due. But so how are you feeling coming out of this one? I mean, is there promise? I mean, there's no question that Fields played well. That has to, sit in the minds of Jets fans. He played well. His scrambling was a big factor. And sometimes he just scrambled to throw the ball. He wasn't just scrambling to scramble, which was good. Seemed like he was keeping his eyes up, looking down the field. So there's a lot of positives with Fields, but in the end, Boy Green, this is about wins. It's about wins and losses, and they lost.
And that has been, speaking of Jake Asman, who will join us later this week, that was I've heard some of his post-game commentary, and that is his message. Like, hey man, screw moral cookies.
Yeah,
this is wins and losses. I'm so, and this is Jake speaking, he's so sick and tired of seeing losses that you're going to try to sell me on a silver lining. Like, that's enough. Enough is enough. And I agree with a lot of that, like, again, we've had one winning season the last 14 years. We definitely want wins. However, this was a wild game. Week ones are crazy. As Old Yank pointed out earlier in the chat, 7 lead changes in this crazy back and forth Jets Steelers game. But it was great to see competent offense. The Jets' first 4 drives of the game, outside of the one that was at the end of the half where they didn't have a lot of time left, they went field goal, touchdown, touchdown, field goal. So, like, they were putting up points left and right. And to your point, Justin Fields looked awesome. Here was Justin Fields' final stat line: 73% completion percentage, 218 passing yards, 3 total touchdowns, no turnovers, and he ran for another 48 yards. That was efficient Justin Fields football. The numbers were spectacular. Justin played as well as he could have possibly played in that game. And to me, that's encouraging. It makes you think, as a Jets fan, I think we found our QB1. I think we found our franchise guy. If he's playing like this, we don't need 300-plus passing yards. He was just efficient. He had confidence. There was decisiveness. He knew where he wanted to go. And Justin Fields even mentioned it after the game. Of course, it's wins and losses, but he went like, A lot of people didn't expect that basically from me today and from this team. And he said he was referencing the Steelers, added a lot of Hall of Famers on that defense, and we put up 32 points on them and over 400 yards of offense. And he's right. So to me, Lerch, obviously I'm disappointed with the loss. Seeing Aaron Rodgers in his smug grin and doing the put his hand up to his ear to the Jet fans and egging them on as he walked off the field was super annoying. When he went up to the presser and said, "I heard all the boo birds out there from the fans. Thank you, that juiced me up." And then he said, "Hey, there's a few people in that Jets building who didn't think I could play anymore. It was nice to remind them that I still can." All that was annoying. But here's the good thing. The Aaron Rodgers thing is over. We talked about that game for months. It's over. The Jets are moving on to week 2. He got his laugh. We got the loss. But the last time I checked, Lerch, teams aren't eliminated from the playoffs after a week 1 loss. And the Jets look awesome. They put up 32 points. You just mentioned the thing I wanted to say at the beginning of the show when you went like, "Oh my God, look at all these teams that scored this many points, this many points, this many points. Some teams won with this point total, this point total, this point total." Shoot, I wish the Jets would have played one of those teams. They scored 32 points. They would have beaten all those teams. But
Green, the Jets would have beaten. If you just go by score, I know.
Of course.
Tricky, but if you just go by score, the Jets would have beaten all but 3 teams in the NFL yesterday. Those 3 teams are the Indianapolis Colts and the 2 teams that played on Sunday night. That's it. The Jets had the 4th most points. And I guess you got to include the Steelers. So, all right, so 4, including Steelers. All right. So the 5th most points in the NFL yesterday with 32. That's a pretty good showing. My team had 6 points. Okay. Please. I would take 32 in a heartbeat. I would take 22.
And that's what I'm saying. We always do that in fantasy, right? So, like, you score 130 or 120, you're like, yeah, I did a pretty good job. Then you play the one team in the league that scores 104. You look around the league, you would have beaten everybody else. Sometimes that's just the nature of the draw, what's going to happen. Yeah. The game was wild, 60-yard field goals, balls deflecting off people and landing magically in DK Metcalf's arms when he's laying on the ground. You're like, oh, come on. How does this happen? I am incredibly encouraged by what I saw from the Jets. And they ran the freaking football down the Steelers' throat. Here are these numbers that are just absolutely stunning. Breece Hall looked great. He had 107 yards rushing. Here's the Jets overall as a rushing offense. They ran the ball 39 times for 182 rushing yards, scored 3 touchdowns, and averaged 4.7 per clip. And not only did they run the football down the throat of the Steelers, Lerch, they stuffed the run, which was the biggest leaky concern from the Jets last year. They held the Steelers to 20 carries for 53 rushing yards and a 2.7 per clip average. So they stopped the run, they ran the football, they lost, and we have to eat this L that's on our head for this week. But I am highly encouraged that the Jets' identity is clear, and that's what AG talked about this morning.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and I agree. I think that they established a bit of an identity. Hall played very well. That was one of my big concerns as a non-Jet fan looking at the Jets from afar. Is what's that running back room going to be like, and is Breece Hall going to have that burst? He looked like he had it. There's hardly any murmurs as of today about Braylon Allen taking over because Breece Hall looked terrific. He looked the part. You got to love it.
Look at this guy.
He just tried to call me too.
What?
He's going from you.
What a show for Pete's sake.
Yeah, he doesn't know. That's why he's retired now. That's why he's
Brunch with Bud coming up later this week. Make sure you guys tune in. Jeez, Lou, Bud. Come on, man.
Probably wants to change his time. He's got a record time with us later today, so probably wants to change his record.
So that was your ring you said first?
Yeah, that was. Yeah, he called me first. He just called me.
And then he's like, this guy's not answering. Let me go to that Boy Green fella.
I'll call. He's probably going to call us both back 4 times during the show. So just ignore him. Anyway, so I think there are a lot of positive. The Garrett Wilson and his connection to Justin Fields looked good. That looked secure.
Oh, yeah.
He was clearly looking for him. So it was a very good start for Garrett Wilson. There was a Mason Taylor sighting, but I would have liked to see more, Boy Green, of Mason Taylor. I know they've got other tight ends. They got that Ruckert guy on
Jeremy Ruckert.
Let's get into that. Let's get Taylor early here. Let's get him to be a piece. So there were a lot of positives. And on the other side, not to jump from game to game, but since we're talking about all the New York teams, the exact opposite going on with the Giants, where Malik Neighbors is getting PO'd at the coach on the sideline because they're not throwing a ball to him. And they're literally having, spats in between plays, and he's sulking because he's not getting the ball, which, listen, I respect Neighbors, and I respect the fact that he wants the ball. And Dable does need to make sure, despite the fact he's being double-teamed the entire game, all right, and they were trying to get it to other guys who were, in one-on-one coverage and maybe with lesser defenders. You still got to find a way to get that guy the ball. What I don't like is Neighbors is such an emotional player. Like, dude, get in the game. Forget about just keep doing your job. The ball's going to come to you. But he's very public. He's very outwardly emotional. I mean, I worry if the Giants have another bad season, which is a distinct possibility with the schedule and the fact that they're in transition at quarterback and offensive line, clearly still, that his neighbor's going to want to hang around beyond his rookie deal. He's just going to, I'm getting out of here. This place is the drag. So I don't like this unhappiness. We're in the first game of the season. His quarterback's like under siege every play, and he's like, "Throw to me." Did you see him? He had about a half a second to throw. How's he getting it to you? I mean, it was one where Wilson did just chuck it out to him. It was a very dangerous play, and neighbors ended up catching it. But is that what you're going to do all day? You're going to throw 4 picks? I mean,
well, I would say 2 things here. So just on your Mason Taylor point real quick, here's the encouraging thing. While he only had 1 catch for 20 yards, he played in 54 of the 62 snaps and ran 19 pass routes. That was the 3rd highest on the team. So he was there. He just didn't get the ball. So hopefully that's an encouraging sign that, you do the right thing. So Old Yank says here, I'll throw his comment up real quick. 32 points against one of the best defenses. I'll take that all day. If the Jets score 32 points a game, I imagine you're going to win a lot of games this year. So same thing on Mason Taylor. If he's running a lot of routes, I imagine eventually he's going to get the ball quite often. To go to your Malik Neighbors thing, now the Giants knew what they were getting. That was the Hard Knocks year, so we got to see Brian Dable and the Giants talk to Malik Neighbors at the Combine. They knew the type of player they're getting, that he's incredibly passionate, fiery, and borderline crazy psycho that hey, man, he's an alpha. And he's going to demand the ball because he thinks he's going to help the team win. And they wanted that dog, as the Giants said, and they got him. Yeah. But that dog can get off the leash, so to speak.
That's correct.
And who let the dogs out? And I don't know if it's the Baja men here or G-men, but because the thing here for me is that he's ultra talented, and he was ranked as the 7th best wide receiver in football right now after his rookie season. But when you have uncertain quarterback play, that can create that diva O-line play, that can create that diva energy that can sometimes be toxic to a team like this.
You got to be a
have some of those stable things.
You're part of the team. There was a point in the game, and it was caught on camera, where Dable was listening to him. Dable, was trying to calm him down. You could tell. And then he thought he had him. He thought, he's like, come on, don't worry. We're going to get you the ball. And then he put out his hand for a high five, and Neighbors just gave him the no thanks, and then he kind of patted him on the shoulder pad to try to just kind of buffer it. You're like,
awkward, right?
Awkward. I don't respect you, coach. That was what that said. What that said is, I appreciate what you're saying, coach, but I don't respect you. You know, when you lose that respect between player and coach, that becomes a very dangerous place. And I know we're 1 game, but yikes. Come on, Malik. It's 1 game.
Man.
Let's take a pill here, man. You don't even have your real quarterback in there yet. Let's just, there's a process to this thing. You don't just snap your fingers and get great. And the Giants, they may have looked good in the preseason, but snapping their fingers in a regular season game against a real opponent, that didn't work out so well.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Especially without your left tackle. It just, but I'm just worried that Andrew Thomas, while it's going to help, is not going to fix this. And we've been trying to fix it for, God, it feels like 10 years, maybe more. I mean,
right.
It's like as the world turns, I just can't take it anymore. Just can we please pay them whatever we need to pay? Just give us some hog mollies who can blow a hole open for a running back and who can stop some pass rushers. Because that thing was a leaky dam yesterday, all game long. It never stopped. It was a leaky dam the entire game.
Yeah.
Oof, that hurt. Today's broadcast, by the way, brought to you by our friends at Play It Again Sports. Play It Again down on Erie Boulevard in DeWitt, where you can bring in your used sporting goods and get money or store credit for it. And also you can buy your sporting goods used, help the environment out, and save a ton of money. So whether it's golf clubs, whether it's baseball gear, now we're heading into football season, whatever it is, go see our friends that Play It Again Sports. And remember, they need your stuff. So bring your gently used stuff in and get some cash for it rather than just sitting in the basement or in the garage. Get some money for it. Get it out of there, man. It's always nice to have that extra space in your closet, in your garage, in your basement. So go do it today. Again, down on Erie Boulevard in DeWitt. All right, let me just take 30 seconds. We'll hear a little bit more from our friends at Play It Again. We'll come back. We've got plenty more Giants, Bills, Jets talk, and I want to get into a few of the peripheral games. How about my Indianapolis Colts? Whoa, did they put on a show? And how bad are the Carolina Panthers? They didn't look too good either. I think the Giants look bad. Panthers right up there with the Giants. Could be number 1 and 2 pick coming up in this year's draft. After one game, we're ready to make that judgment. All right, stick around. Plenty more to come. Manchild Show with Boy Green Digital. Don't forget to like us, hit the old thumbs up, and subscribe at MC Show Digital on our YouTube page. Be right back.
Warm weather sports season is here, and if you want to gear up and save money on some of the top brands of golf, soccer, and baseball equipment, and much more, Play It Again Sports can be your solution. With both new and gently used gear, Play It Again has prices way less than regular retail stores. And for all you golfers out there, get some quick money for those clubs you've got stashed away and are collecting dust. Play It Again is always looking for quality gear. No appointment necessary. Just bring it into the store. Play It Again Sports in the DeWitt Town Center on Erie Boulevard. Don't spend more. Play it again. Play It Again Sports. Syracuse.com.
All right, Boy Green. One of the things, so like you said, on the Jets side, a lot of positives. Fields looking like the guy. You're already convinced. It's going to take a few games for me to be more convinced, but I liked what I saw.
Yeah.
Clearly, the connection with Garrett Wilson, which didn't exist during the preseason, existed very much in game one. I want to see more Mason Taylor. I think the Jets need to utilize that weapon and utilize the tight end just more in their offensive scheme. But the one thing I would suppose you have to be a little disappointed about, I mean, you said there, okay, the run defense looked better, but they just, the Steelers scored 34 points on them. Aaron Rodgers scored 34 points on them. I mean, Aaron Rodgers was having trouble getting out of bed last year for the Jets. All right. He scored 34. He threw for 4 touchdowns. Yeah. Drove them down the field when they needed to. So the defense really bent a lot. So where are your worries there? Because it can't all be, a bed of roses when you give up 34 to a team like the Steelers. It's not exactly known for their scoring prowess. We was expecting this thing to be a pillow fight. We were expecting this to be
what they said,
21-20 game. That's what I was thinking. I wasn't expecting 34-32. I was expecting 21-20. As a matter of fact, I threw down a couple of parlays. I'm the parlay guy when it comes to my betting. Nothing less than 3 legs. So, but I put one of my parlays was the Jets and Steelers under in the first half, and the over was 19.5, Boy Green. So I was willing to say this thing is going to be just a mud fight, just a scrum in the first half. Nobody's going to have their footing. Rodgers is going to mess up. The Jets are going to get to him. Fields is going to be a little lost early, not finding his receivers, and it just isn't going to work. And then I'm like, oh my God, this thing's going to blow up by the end of the first quarter. So I did not win the under on that one. The game went way over. I mean, that's 68. I mean, 66 points.
They went over any possible over that could have existed.
Way over. So all these other games were I could have got unders on, and I decided to pick up all games of the Jets, and I got burned on that one. So that blew that one parlay off. But I did win one of my 3 parlays. I put 3 parlays out there, and I did win one.
Okay. Yeah, but to answer your question, it is definitely not all peaches and rainbows, and I'm not going to paint that picture at all. The reason why Aaron Rodgers scored 34 points is because the Jets secondary was a pair of saloon doors. Now, let's give the one flower that needs to be given, and then let's address the elephant. Okay. The flower is Sauce Gardner, who shadowed DK Metcalf for 99% of the game. I have the image here, which I can throw up on the scouting. Shout out to ESPN's Rich Cimini for this statistic on how much the shadowing. I believe we have it here. Here it is. Sauce Gardner traveled with DK Metcalf pretty much a whole game. 30 of 34 pass coverage snaps. For the game, Gardner allowed only 2 catches for 18 yards as the nearest defender. Nice. And as we mentioned, one of them, Sauce Gardner deflected away, which was a great play. It bounced off a Jet, bounced off a Steeler, and then landed on DK Metcalf, who was laying on the ground, and he caught it. So that's one of the 2 catches he allowed. So that was a little bit, oblong-shaped football, and it happened to land on his lap. But besides that, Sauce Gardner did a terrific job. He's the highest-paid quarter of football, and he played like it, and he traveled with DK Metcalf, which was great. Now, put that one aside. The rest of the secondary, good Lord have mercy. It was awful. Michael Carter II, who's considered and paid like one of the highest paid nickel corners in football, he didn't have his sea legs under him. Now, he missed a lot of time last year with injuries, but that's no excuse. His tackling was off. A simple play. Speaking of DK Metcalf, this is a play that Sauce wasn't on him. It was a 3rd down play. DK got the ball. If Michael Carter wraps him up, it's a gain of nothing, and then the Steelers punt. Instead, DK Metcalf jukes Michael Carter II out of his shoes and goes 50 yards down the sideline. That was terrible. Michael Carter II had a couple of those other issues. The other corner, Brandon Stevens. This was much maligned, Lerch. This may be in the minutia in Jet fan world. Not sure if it existed out to the rest of the NFL, but the Jets signed Brandon Stevens to a 3-year deal for around $36 million this offseason. And that caught the eye of Ravens fans who said, woo, Brandon Stevens stinks. You guys can have him, Jets. Jet fans were very concerned about that addition. But what Aaron Glenn, the head coach, said is he's got the traits. I can get it out of him. Basically, I'm a good coach. All I need is the talent, and I can coach the rest out of him. And he was a sieve. He was caught out of position, inconsistent tackler, and there's too many broken coverages. Aaron Rodgers did dice up the Jets defense, but there was a lot of wide open people that were just open. It seemed like miscommunications. Also, there's a lot of issues in the secondary, and Lerch, as we're both broadcasting here in the Syracuse area, Andre Sisco did not perform very well. No. He got caught with his pants down several times. Now, he wasn't nearly as bad as his running mate, Tony Adams, who was much worse, but still, they were bad. That was how Aaron Rodgers was able to carve up the Jets secondary. So that was for the most part. And then one other thing I would just say, the Jets had 7 penalties for 74 yards yesterday. There are a couple of penalties that you just can't do. It's just dumb. And one of them came from a first-team All-Pro in Quincy Williams, a Steelers running back. So the Steelers ran a halfback toss to the left, and it was going for nowhere. There's multiple Jets in the area, so the Steeler was just going out of bounds.
Yep.
And it would have been a loss of like 3 yards.
I saw that play.
4 or 5 yards out of bounds. Quincy Williams rails him, and I immediately go, what in the world? That was not close at all. Sometimes it's close. A quarterback skirting the sideline, he's daring the defender to hit him. Then you get the late flag. Quincy just made a stupid play, which completely turned that drive around for the Steelers. What turned from a negative 3-yard play, which would automatic first down and 15 yards further down the field. So there was some undisciplined penalties. I would say the encouraging sign, as Aaron Glenn said this morning before we started the show, Lerch, is that there's only 1 pre-snap penalty for the Jets. So 7 penalties, 74 yards, not good. 1 pre-snap penalty. The Jets were the most penalized team in football last year. Aaron Glenn liked that part, but they got to rein in the discipline or they're not going to win many games.
Yeah. I mean, a couple of things thrown up in the comments, so I'll jump on over for a minute. Anthony says, just a question. How do you feel about signing Stephon Gilmore to help out on the opposite side of Sauce? We're going to get picked on that side, if things stay the same. Are there any guys out there, or Gilmore's out there? Are there any guys out there that might make any sense to the Jets? It's a tough time of year to start searching for guys. This is why you go through training camp. You try to figure it out. You look at other people's cuts, but there always are, a couple of stray guys out there.
Well, I'll start off with this because obviously, like I said, Brandon Stevens has been a topic of conversation because of how poorly he played. AG said he was encouraged, despite what some fans see or saw in the game from Brandon Stevens. And he said there's a few things he has to clean up, but they have no issues. They believe they're going to be able to clean that up. So it sounds like Brandon Stevens isn't heading to the bench anytime soon, folks. For any of you out in the universe, they're like, oh, man, maybe the Jets will make a switch. They have Azareye'h Thomas there on the roster as well. Could that be something that they look into? So this would not be an immediate thing, but I'll answer the question. Yes, Stephon Gilmore is out there. He's about to be 35, so he's older. That's not normally a player that Aaron Glenn would look at. Here's some other corners out there. I like Gilmore. I don't know if that's where they would go. James Bradbury's another veteran. He's a little bit younger. He's 32 years of age, was in that Super Bowl Eagles a couple of years. Yeah. So he's a significant name. For sure. Kendall Fuller's out there as well. He was previously with the Miami Dolphins. He's an okay, fine player. But those are the big names, and then they drop off significantly. Then we're just swimming in a pool of a lot of random players out there in the universe. One other one that's really talented, but he's dealing with some very serious health issues. Asante Samuel Jr., the name should ring a bell. He's a legacy player. He's 25 years old, but I believe it was a neck injury that he dealt with most recently. So a lot of folks are sort of scared off by that. Obviously, he's talented. So, I don't know what the medicals are on him. But long story short, there are a couple of names out there that are sort of semi-interesting for the Jets. But Aaron Glenn does not seem like he's going to panic after one game as it pertains to Brandon Stevens. They give him a nice contract. 23 of that $36 million was guaranteed. So they're going to see this thing through. I would say if they did make a change for Brandon Stevens, it would be going to the rookie Azareye'h Thomas, who a lot of people thought could have been a first-round pick, but he ran a slow 40-yard dash time, so he slipped in the draft to the Jets in the 3rd round. But it doesn't sound like that'll be happening anytime soon.
Yeah, that makes sense. Was there something going on with the field? Here's a comment about the field. Badshaw saying guys were slipping and tripping a lot. I did see some of that. I was flipping back and forth between games, but I did see a lot of the Jets game. You notice anything? And that was at the Meadowlands. So, I mean, you should have your field ready this time of year.
Yeah, there was a lot of rain for so what would that be, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11? So there was about 5 hours of rain on the field before the game, but it cleared up before kickoff. So there wasn't rain happening on the field, but I double checked this. The MetLife Stadium has a drainage system built into the field, so they don't tarp it like a baseball field. The water is supposed to hit, and then it's supposed to go through their draining system and basically keep the field as dry as you can possibly keep it dry in that sort of circumstance. So I did notice how people were slipping and tripping around. I would love to blame it on the rain or water or anything. Like Justin Fields also had a slip on a read option play. I just think it was them slipping on the field and the normal MetLife Stadium issues.
Yeah. Okay. How do you evaluate Glenn's performance here in game one? I liked his fieriness. I mean, especially early in the game, man, he was really, really getting his team fired up. I think we're going to see a lot of that from him throughout the season.
Yeah, timeout management was a big one that came back to bite the Jets in the tuchus. He's second half, 100%. He used 2 timeouts a lot earlier than he would have wanted to, and Aaron Glenn admitted that in his presser earlier today in the 10 o'clock hour. First one, he called a timeout on a 2-point conversion. The Jets need to practice 2-point conversions for the rest of their life now. Yes. Now, let's walk through it. So the Jets attempted an extra point. It misses, but there was a penalty on the Pittsburgh. So the Jets had a choice. Kick an extra point again, just re-kick, or you can attempt a 2-point conversion from the 1-yard line. And AG's like,
half the distance.
1-yard line, I'm taking it. And by the way, I was live streaming during the entire game, and I said before they made a decision, let's go. It's a 1-yard line. You never know when those 2 points can come back and help you. So you're 2 yards. Okay, I understand. That's a far distance. 1 yard, and you got a tush-push kind of quarterback. All right, let's figure it out. The play was not great, and then Braylon Allen got stuffed like a Thanksgiving turkey, so that didn't work out very well at all. On the second 2-point conversion play that they attempted later to try to make up the difference on missing the first one, Justin Fields threw it in triple coverage to Garrett Wilson, and it was incomplete. So on the second one, Aaron Glenn called the timeout on a 2-point conversion. Now, if you call a timeout on a 2-point conversion, I get it. It's a big play. You better convert, because then you burn a timeout and you miss a 2-point conversion, which came back to hurt them. So when they got to the end of the game, the Steelers were able to run out a lot of clock. If they had those timeouts, the Jets would have had a lot more time, and all they would have needed is a field goal. It was a 2-point game. A field goal wins the game. That was a big piece of the puzzle. So AG, he was fiery. I'm curious. It seemed like they made some really good second halftime adjustments rather. But yeah, I would say clock management is a massive one that AG certainly has to fix going into next week. But in terms of a head coach debut, as we saw a lot of other teams get blown out in week 1 and look awful, there was a lot to take away there from AG. Very encouraging. Yeah,
it's funny because watching across the league, watching all the games yesterday, just a lot of decision making with the 2-point conversion. We saw it in the Bills game on Sunday night as well.
Course,
both teams attempting 2-point conversions at critical moments, and a lot of them failing. And you just start second guessing. Gosh, because it looks good at the moment. Oh, we can go up 3 now, and instead of only being up 2. Or we can get it to 4 instead of 3. Or we can get it to 8 or to 9, try and push out beyond a touchdown, or make it at least a touchdown.
2 possessions, right.
So that temptation is there. But then if you miss a few of them, then you add them up and you say, if we just went extra point, guess what? That field goal doesn't win the game now. We're in overtime. Or we win by a point. Boy, that 2-point conversion is like this great, it's like a temptation. It's like you got the evil angel on your right shoulder, and the nice angel over here, you're one side of your conscience and the other, and you're like, oh, that looks so juicy. Go for it, And then when you don't get it, the other angel's like, you dummy, look where you could have been, So
and that's what the fans are saying. When I was doing the live stream yesterday, I immediately say, oh, you got to go take advantage. The devil was winning on my shoulder. Yeah, you're closer. Yeah, you want the 2 points, don't you? And then everyone else was like, wait, let's just take the 1 point. Let's not be greedy. Let's take it. We're 1 yard closer. Great. Okay. We have this penalty here, or 5 yards closer, whatever it would have been, because now the extra points are backed up. Great. We'll kick it a little bit closer. Let's just guarantee our extra point and move on. So yeah, there was that. It's a hilarious way to describe that, but it was this devil angel thing, and obviously it affected the rest of the league too. And if the Jets would have simply just taken their extra points, it's a tie game at the end, and they were going to win it or push it to overtime, and everything changes, of course.
Remember a bunch of years ago, and I think it was Brandon Staley was the head coach of the Chargers, and he was the go for 2 guy. Like, what is he? He was just constantly going for 2, and the whole thought was it all evens out, except when it doesn't even out. I'll tell you what, if I were a head coach, I wouldn't go for 2 until I had to go for 2. I just don't like in the middle of the game, and in particularly early in the game, but even middle of the game, early and middle of the game, I'm not messing around with the score. There's too much game to go to be thinking about, oh, that'll get us up 2 scores. Think about it in the fourth quarter. That's a different story. Some of the decisions that the Bills and the Ravens were making were different. That's a different story.
Because there was a weird scoring on
Right.
the Bills-Ravens game last night. The Bills had to make a choice. So we were at one point, they were down at 9. Do they kick the extra point, make it 8? It's a 1-possession game and keep playing. Or do we take the 2 and we know what we have to do?
Yeah.
It's 7 points. They kicked the extra point to make it 8. And when they had the opportunity later, they scored the touchdown and it said, oh, well, we know what you have to do. We got to go for 2. And they missed it, which led to all kinds of theatrics at the end with Derrick Henry fumbling and getting them back into the game.
Right. But there are times when you're up against it and you have to. Those to me, if I were a head coach, those are the only times I'd be going for 2. I just see it burn coaches too many times, and it comes back to haunt you later. And then you're just like, if I had just played the percentages here, I would have been fine. These guys, generally speaking, most coaches, and Bud and I have talked about this for years, going back to 23 years we did radio. Coaches in the NFL and in college, for that matter, 99% of them are like these ultra conservative people. They always play it safe. They're always trying to just get to the finish line and win by 1, and that's all you got to do. They don't take chances. And then we get this 2-point conversion hit, and then everybody becomes a gunslinger. And you're just like, wait a minute. In every other area, you play it conservative, but this is the area. You punt it on 4th down. No, there aren't that many Dan Campbells out there. Riverboat Rons,
sure.
Some here or there.
Jack Del Rio.
Yeah, there were a few, but I mean, most coaches, 90% of them, no way, no chance. I'm playing the percentages. And then you get this 2-point conversion in the game now, and coaches just throwing caution to the wind early in games. You're just like, what are they doing? No, I'm always screaming, don't do it, just kick it. What are you doing?
Can't resist the urge. The big red button in the middle of the room.
Of the time or something, you make the kick. Just make the kick. Take the point. Get out.
Yeah.
I don't know. A lot of coaches, they don't believe it. Some other teams that I want to at least get mention of, Boy Green, during today's broadcast, the Green Bay Packers looked awful good. And I know the Lions didn't. I'm not ready to write the Lions off just because they only scored 13 points and they were not the 33-point juggernaut that they were averaging last year. I think they were the top team in the NFL, or one of the top teams in scoring. So they averaged over 33 points a game. They only scored 13 points. But let's not forget, that was a road game. That's game 1 of the regular season. Goff actually didn't even look that bad in that game. They just couldn't get it across the goal line. They couldn't do some things. And Green Bay's a quality team, and they're playing in their own building. So, and they had that burst of having Micah Parsons. Did you see the pregame introductions?
I did,
Parsons was the last one running out there with his big number 1 now. He's wearing number 1.
Yeah, very weird.
11's not available.
Yeah,
and there was a lot of hype for Green Bay in that game. So I'm not surprised. Green Bay really got the,
Lerch, I'm not surprised either. Again, the Lions don't have Aaron Glenn, obviously. Of course they're going to fall apart. All right, obviously.
Hey, listen, Detroit should have at least a little bit of regression, losing both your offensive and defensive.
Of course, obviously.
And they didn't even lose just one side, because Campbell is kind of a defensive-oriented guy. So with Glenn not there, you could see Campbell taking a little more hands-on potentially of the defense, because that's where he lives and breathes. That's kind of his background. But on the offensive end, losing a guy like Ben Johnson, and then having to go to a new play caller and then develop that trust that you had with the other guy, I mean, it's just going to take time. So
just
I'm not surprised that they regressed in game 1, and that was a tough matchup for him.
Just to clarify his roots, Dan Campbell was a former NFL tight end. So
that's right. He was a tight end. You're correct. I'm sorry. Yes. All right. I correct myself there. So, but again, the head coach can only pick up, part of the slack.
Of course.
And then, so when you have both coordinators gone in a year, and that's not easy stuff. Didn't Philly go through that? And they actually
did. They lost both of them.
Yeah.
And winning the Super Bowl.
Did okay. Yeah, they did okay. So,
yeah.
So much for my theories being true. But generally speaking, you see that, and you usually see, at the very least, I mean, it doesn't have to devastate its season, and I don't think it will with Detroit. But what it can be is early on in the season, miscommunication, forced timeouts, where you're just not completely on the same page, because the continuity has been lost a little bit. You had 2 guys that you trusted. They were being given that responsibility. They were handling that responsibility well. Now you got 2 new guys, and you're going to monitor it a little bit more. And there are going to be hiccups. That's just the way it goes. So it doesn't surprise me. Certainly a disappointing result for Detroit, but I think they'll be fine. And let's not forget, it was a road game against a tough opponent, long season to go. I'm not worried about the Detroit Lions at all. But Green Bay did look really, really good. Who else looked good and bad here? I mean, disappointing loss certainly for New England. Everybody thought they were going to come out.
I told you guys,
home against Pete Carroll
lock
and the
of
Vegas
the
Raiders.
week.
Whoa, Vegas! Yeah, boy, Green got that on a lone wolf in our football picks, and a good one to get there.
Yeah,
Ashton Genty had a nice touchdown in that game. And yeah, Vegas looked okay, and New England looked.
Oh my God! The Bengals. We talked about this earlier for a bit, but the Bengals looked awful, and they squeak out a victory, and they just have this. It's the opposite of moxie. They just have this dull, dark cloud that hangs over them at the beginning of seasons. Where they start every season 0-2 or 1-1, 0-2, 1-1. And last year, speaking of the Patriots, they lost to the Patriots, and Gerard Mayo, people were like, "Oh my God, what the heck?" And it came back to bite them at the end. One more win would have gotten them into the playoffs. And you go to this one, and they barely escaped from the Cleveland Browns. We talked about that Lerch in our NFL picks against the spread segment. Last year, I think over the last 2 years, the Bengals have sort of flipped it, but there was a stretch of 3 or 4 years where the Browns dominated this Bengals series. People were like, what? That doesn't make sense. It doesn't compute. But if you really talk about it, they had a run against them. So they sort of have the Bengals number a little bit, which certainly came into play. So the Bengals it looked bad, but they won. And the Dolphins. Oh, they might be the worst team in football. What happened?
And I thought they were going to be bad, but I didn't know they were going to be this bad.
And I was totally wrong. I picked Miami. And by the way, here was a stupid thing I should have factored in. For those who did not know, Jim Irsay, of course, the Colts owner, passed away this offseason, and they inducted Jim Irsay into the Ring of Honor to start this game. So the team was fired up. They were talking about doing it for Jim Irsay. So that's a factor I didn't give proper credence to during our pick segment, which could have definitely played a factor on top of being week one and stuff. But the Dolphins have all these volatile personalities because they made all these moves for guys like Darren Waller from your Giants. They still have Tyreek Hill, who, man, this thing has a chance to implode like nobody's business and be a supernova that, takes out multiple casualties. Maybe Mike McDaniel as a head coach, Tua's future in Miami. There's just a lot of volatility down there in Miami. They looked absolutely awful.
And let's face it, you just didn't want to put your money on Daniel Jones. Let's face it.
That's true.
Nobody did. I can't say that I blame people.
That burned me. That definitely burned me.
33 points. Jones.
Let's talk about the other side, Lerch. Your old quarterback. Remember, we talked about it with Ed Valentine this past week. I said, hey, if Daniel Jones lights it up, or John's going to be like, oh boy, what could have been?
No regret.
And now, I mean, he looked amazing, Lerch. If we give MVPs out after week one, there might be a chance that Daniel Jones here, who, by the way, here are his final statistics: 22-29, 272 yards rushing. He had 3 total touchdowns in the game, 1 passing touchdown, 2 rushing touchdowns. I mean, Daniel Jones looked like a new man.
Yeah, hey, sometimes a fresh place and a different coach and a different offensive philosophy can get a guy going. I don't know if that's going to be the case for Jones, but that was a very good first showing against a very bad Miami team. So let's take it for what it is.
Sure.
I want to be excited about the Jacksonville Jaguars too. I talked about that in our pick segment on Friday, but I don't know that I could be overly excited about the Jaguars despite a 26-10 win because of who they played. I mean, the Panthers look like the bad Panthers again.
Very bad.
So let's let Indy play another team. Let's let Jacksonville play another team that's much more worthy. And then we can start making, I think, some more judgments about whether they're good teams or not. I just think it's just too early, and it's opponent matters at this particular point. I mean, even though Washington beat the Giants 21-6, I wasn't really blown away by how the Commanders looked. They could have really spanked the Giants considering how poorly the Giant offensive line played, and yet they only put up 21 points. The Giants defense held them to 21. That game was relatively close for a while, even though the Giants couldn't do anything offensively. So I'm not, really enamored with Washington and their effort, even though they got a nice solid win in week one.
Shout out to Travis Hunter, by the way. Yeah, real quick on the Jaguars. Just shout out to Travis Hunter, who did play on both sides of the ball. I don't have the official snap counts in front of me, but he did play on both sides of the ball, both as a wide receiver and there in the secondary. So that was again a cool phenomenon. We'll see how it happens. And Jay Glazer, he did this on the NFL on Fox pregame show, my pregame show of choice. I love that, with Michael Strahan, Terry Bradshaw, Kurt Menefee, and the whole gang. Jimmy Johnson, Rob Gronkowski. I could do without Gronk, but he's now on. he's now on the group too. And Jay Glazer in his Scoop segment said that the Jaguars' plan is for Travis Hunter to be a full-time corner and a full-time receiver. However, they said they have to be realistic with expectations coming from a collegiate player. He said, we probably won't see that this year, but that's their plan here in the near future if they can get him up to speed and get him up to snuff, being a full-time starter on both sides of the ball. But yeah, shout out to your Jaguars. I totally messed that up.
Well, I bought into the hype a little bit. I mean, again, when you got multiple fantasy leagues to play around with, why not play in the sandbox a little bit?
Sure.
I mean, as you know, the one I care about the most is our Champs League. That's our top league. That's the one that really garners the big prize and the big pride. So I don't mess around too much in the Champs League. But when I've got my teams in other leagues, I'm going to play around. And in the Triple C, I had an option right before kickoff: Deebo Samuel, or Travis Hunter. And I heard that Hunter was going to be full-time receiver. And I was like, you know what? I mean, that giant D, maybe they can hold him up a little bit. Deebo's on a new team, but I drafted Deebo higher. Actually, no, they would probably draft them very close together. You'd have to go back and look at that draft. But, I was feeling Deebo the whole week. He was in my starting lineup. And then before kickoff, I was like, I'm going to go with Hunter. What the heck? It's the Triple C League. Let me roll the dice. It may end up costing me because Deebo had a good game. And I'm down right now 102 to 124, thanks to that insane Derrick Henry performance. 29 points for Henry. I mean, if he just has a normal day, I win that. I'm going to win that easily. I've got just DeAndre Swift and the Minnesota defense going tonight, and I'm down 22 points. So it's possible. I can win still, but I'm not favored at this point to win. And that was all because I went with Travis Hunter. If I go with Deebo there, I'm good. I don't have that problem. So.
Yeah. Travis Hunter, you took in the 5th round. Deebo, you took in the 7th.
Okay. So I was going to start Deebo, though. I had more faith that Deebo early part of this season, Hunter's got to get his legs.
Yeah.
So Deebo had Deebo in there until the last minute. Deebo scored almost 23 points. And
I have him in one of our lineups. So nice. Lerch.
That was the old overthinking it.
The overthink.
But again, like I said, I want to play in the sandbox in the other leagues. Like the Champs League is the one that I'm always going to be, super attentive to in terms of how I do things. In the other leagues, man, I'm going to play some guys I like sometimes. I'm just going to roll the dice a little bit more. I'm going to play a little more, ceiling versus floor kind of mentality. Go for the big swing, take a big swing at something. So I did, and I swung and missed. I still might survive it, though. And if I somehow pull it out in the chumps, in the Triple C Boy Green, I'm going to go 3-0 because I'm going to win. I'm definitely going to win in the champs. And
let's do this real quick,
winning in the chumps as well.
Yeah, so a virtual handshake to two victors here in the Champs League. So thank you very much. Do our virtual handshake here, a fist bump. Boop.
Yep, you did.
Appreciate it.
Won.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, took care of business. I won, beat Courtney. Sorry, Courtney, you have to know your place, winning by 25 points. Baboomchka, and you're up like 70 points, and we'll see what happens tonight. Maybe it'll be a little bit closer, but still, your victory's assured. So, yeah, 2 winners, baby. That's how we do it. Nice.
Yep. Always good to get off. Week 1 matters.
You never know. Get the momentum. Yeah.
It just gives you the chance to lose somewhere in the first couple of weeks, and you're not like, boy, I'm already behind.
Not 0-2, 0-3. Right. Yeah. Rack them and stack them, baby.
So
yeah.
You got to, and sometimes just your opponent, you got to get a little lucky, whatever. But
sure.
But no, we both got good performances out of our teams, and only 6 are going to be 1-0, and 6 are going to be 0-1. So
that's it, baby.
In the upper 6, baby. That's a good place to be.
I'm glad to be on the right side of history. Hell yeah.
And you were saying it to me before we got started. I started the week with Xavier Worthy, my WR1, because I went very running back heavy. I have a very good running back crew. I have Kyron Williams, Josh Jacobs, and who was my top pick again? Oh, Bijan, I should say.
Bijan, it's French.
Bijan.
Okay.
So I went 3 running backs right at the top of the draft. I just was like, I don't care. These guys are going to leave.
That paid off.
Take them. And so those guys definitely, none of them had unbelievable days, although Bijan had a very nice start to his day.
I was just mentioning Bijan. Yeah, he had 24 points for Bijan. I have it here.
He could have gone for 40 if it kept going. I mean, he got started with like 22 of those 24, like in the first quarter. I was like, whoa, it's a Bijan explosion.
Yeah.
But it did level out a little bit. But I got solid performances out of all 3 of my running backs, which definitely carried me, thank God, because losing Xavier Worthy and getting a 0 burger for one of your starting wide receivers is not usually a recipe for victory. But again, other guys came through. My defense was solid. My kicker came through with double digits. You just get a little bit from everybody.
Brandon Aubrey. There you go.
That one guy. So I lucked out. But you can't survive that way every week. And now I'm on the, now I'm on a waiver wire trying to find a viable receiver, or I might be out there in trade land before too long if my receivers don't get off to a decent start. So definitely at a little bit of a deficit receiver wise right now. But I do have the commodity that everyone always loves, and that is a glut of running backs. Always nice.
You always trade those.
Top guys. Those guys are always tradable, which is another reason why it's never a bad idea to draft running backs, early in the draft, because
use them as a commodity. Right?
Very, very good trade bait. There are a lot of good receivers by the time the season gets going. There's usually just a handful of really good running backs, and people covet those backs, and you can usually, make some good solid trades if you have some good solid running backs. So hopefully that'll work out for me. I'm not ready to trade yet, Boy Green, so stop salivating. I see you over there like, oh, I could take a little Tyron Williams off your hands, or Josh Jacobs. I'll take one of those guys, Or if you want to give Sean Mustard, I'll take that as well. But no.
I would definitely.
It's nice to have. It's nice to have commodities that if you do get in trouble, you can wheel and deal, and that to me is one of the fun things about fantasy football is the ability to do that kind of stuff. So you should be thinking that way. Don't just get a roster and sit on it all year. That's boring. Get active. Be active in your leagues. Be looking to trade. Always be looking to improve your team. You don't improve your team by just simply drafting it and hoping, and then I'll go to the waiver wire every week and get a guy or two. Like, you got to do more than that.
Wait, do you hear something, Lerch? Do you hear that?
What am I hearing?
Oh, that sounds like from way down low. I'm hearing from Jamie the FedEx guy, gloat all you guys want, you're going down. Oh. Which you would know something about being down, Jamie, since you already lost this week. So you're down there.
Buddy Joe Bartle took him down.
Yeah, down there in Loserville, population U. Yeah.
L.
So okay. Yeah. So yeah. There you go. Yeah. L it up. There you go. L it up. Double L. So don't be talking to. Oh, you guys are going down. Yeah. Okay, pal. 0-1. Okay. Over. Okay. I want to know.
He just sent me an offer. All right. Let's take a look. Should we make it public?
Oh, live. Yeah. Okay.
Really
obviously.
Made me an offer. Let's see. Jamie, always active in fantasy.
Okay.
No, I don't have any offers right now. Okay. So he hasn't made me an offer yet.
So. He must be working on it diligently, I would imagine.
No offer yet.
Okay.
Oh, wait a minute. Maybe he did. Hold on. Was it under transactions? Oh yeah, he did. Oh yeah.
Oh, he did. Okay, wait. Here we go.
Okay. He's already got a pending trade. Who did he make a trade with?
Oh yeah, someone late last night. I think it was Big Al.
I didn't even see this. Yeah. He's acquiring Devontae Smith and Travis Etienne. What a very nice.
Travis Etienne had a great first week.
And he's dealing away Pacheco.
Okay, I like Pacheco.
Hollywood Brown, who had a very nice start.
And he's rising up the depth chart now.
Yeah,
so
he is. And then is that it's Javonte Williams of Dallas, who had a nice week.
Who was awesome.
Maybe getting rid of some hot hands right out of the start.
That's a strategy.
A couple other guys. Well,
all right, so Lerch, real quick, greatest trade. Was it a thumbs up or thumbs down?
Who I want in this deal? Let me think here. I mean, roster does matter, but just putting rosters aside,
just trade. Just a trade. Thumbs up or thumbs down for Jamie? Not the one he offered you, just this trade that you just read.
I think it's a very fair deal, but I think I like Jamie's part of the deal here a little bit better.
Here we go.
I'm not a big Javonte fan, even though he got off to a nice start and what that Dallas running game is going to be.
So sell him high. Very nice.
The fact that Jaden Blue was inactive,
not a great time.
And then Dopey Sanders put it on the ground. I mean, Javonte's position just got stronger after week one.
I would say
performance, but other guys around him faltering. Right. So but I still don't like it, even though I loved him when he came into the league, and I can't get on his bandwagon yet.
So let's get to this. So Jamie gave you an offer. What is it?
Hollywood Shaky and Pacheco. I don't know. Pacheco looked bad. That's okay. Man. They were running Kareem Hunt.
Look bad, but it's 1 week though.
All right, so let's see what he offered me.
Okay, he offered you. Let's get it live on air.
Oh, it's just a straight upper. Okay.
Oh, okay. That's they're always.
Yeah, this is a trade I would never make. So I can.
So reject.
I just reject it right now. I want nothing to do with Tyreek Hill, and so he's offering me Tyreek Hill.
Okay. Yeah, he said
straight up for Tyron Williams. So straight upper.
Oh no.
Yeah. So, I mean, again,
That's around right value because of
the value, right?
Because draft wise, they were
the
both
worst offer I've
drafted
ever gotten, right? I
similarly.
mean, no, but no, I mean, I
So
like this 3 running back thing I have, and I'm only going to trade it if I have to.
so firm
and
rejection.
I don't like Tyreek Hill at all this year. I just don't like him.
So a firm rejection.
Yeah, that's a firm rejection. I just
sorry, Jamie.
Okay?
Nice try.
Off the board. Okay.
Sorry, pal.
Again. Try again. But I'm always open.
Okay,
but like I said, I mean, I'm not ready to go yet. Although, hey, the right offer could always get me to go. But now I just.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
there's certain people that I absolutely just don't want to touch this year, and Tyreek Hill is one of a few. He's one of a few. I just want nothing to do with him this year. I don't trust that Miami thing. I don't trust him as a human being. That thing could go wrong quickly. I'll tell you what. I mean, coming off of that first game, look out for Malik Neighbors. He could be a cautionary tale before too long. I mean, if he continues to get angry because the Giants can't block, that's not a good situation for Malik Neighbors holders. I would imagine not. Owners, I don't like that at all. So. The world of fantasy. It's fabulous. It's fabulous. If you're not in a fantasy league, folks, you should get in one.
So exciting.
Fantasy is just so much fun. And if you didn't manage to get in one of our 4 leagues this year, send Paul a text, an email, and get on the waiting list for next year, because there's always spots. Sometimes the spots you could even end up in the 2nd or 3rd highest league.
Who knows?
With a spot opening. I mean, we had a couple of last minute crazy things happen.
Oh my goodness, we did.
We almost had someone drop out of our top league. Literally on draft night. And luckily that person was able to get somebody else to show up to the draft and draft for him, or we would have replaced that person and we would have had a brand new participant in our top league. Someone would have got a second chance or first chance back in the league. So that's why I get in, because you can get all the way to the top before you know it. You could be drafting live with us, which was just an absolute blast.
Yeah, here's a quick fantasy story. Unbelievable. Okay. So we have infected. I said it like when Joe Bartle joined us a couple weeks ago, that the best thing, if you guys are fantasy football enthusiasts out there in the universe, the best thing you can do is get someone who did not play fantasy football, that's ever played it, to play it and grow the community. That would be a wonderful thing. And my fiance is someone that has never played fantasy football before knowing me. And she was so inspired this year. For the first time, she created a brand new fantasy football league and got all the ladies in her life of moms and friends and everything. And now they have their own all ladies league for the first time ever. And she's the commish.
Yeah.
So she threw it all together. And I was like, hey, way to go. I was like, all right, that's great expanding.
That is impressive.
So she was so fired up about it. She was asking me questions about being a commissioner and all the rules and everything like that. So yeah, big shout out to my fiance, Tatiana. She threw a whole league together. So highly encourage everybody out there to dip your toes in the fantasy waters. It's a pretty cool place.
Yeah, already names appearing on the waiver wire and things getting out there. Here's a name that's been thrown around. How about Batcho says? How about Isaac Tesla? Yeah, not the car, but here's a guy that's getting some early season run here. That could he be a factor for his team? So we get these early pops here. Some guys showing up.
Here, I can lay the cards on the table. Lerch said we could do that now that our drafts are over. Tesla was on my draft board, believe it or not, with my final pick or picks. I don't know if he was selected in our draft. I'll have to double check.
Not sure if he was.
But he was on my board because I heard a lot of whispers from Lions people that he was like this guy that was rising through the wide receiver ranks. And he had what Badshaw's referencing. If you guys didn't see it, it's a ridiculous touchdown where he one-handed it in the corner of the end zone and got both of his feet in bounds. Now, the Lions have a lot of mouths to feed. Jamison Williams, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta. So that's ultimately what led me to not select him with one of my final picks. But he was on my board, and it's because I heard all these wonderful things in preseason and everything else of how quickly he rose up the ranks. But just buried in that passing game. And unless a significant injury happens, which of course it's football, anything can happen, that's ultimately what scared me off. But great touchdown, one of the best touchdown catches of the year.
To me, it's always hard to roster a guy that's not. I try not to go any lower than wide receiver 2s, but it has to be at least a wide receiver 3. You start getting into these 4 and 5 guys, and even though they might go out there and catch lightning in a bottle, in fantasy, you're looking for consistency and you're looking for guys who you potentially could put in your lineup pretty much any week.
Of course.
And, those kind of guys are a little risky. And in an offense like Detroit, with all of those mouths to feed, it's hard, even if this guy's a terrific player, to keep him on your roster, to sustain him on your roster, because what are you going to get out of him? It's like that Yoshivas guy last year for Cincinnati. Like, he's a wonderful player, but again, you got all those mouths to feed when you got Higgins, and Chase in front of you. I mean, those are two very large mouths. I mean, it does number 3 in that thing. It ain't all that good, So you got to look at that kind of stuff when you're drafting fantasy. You can't just draft talent. You have to draft talent in the right situations because that's how it really pays off. Having talented guys doesn't mean anything if they don't play. They don't get chances, if they don't get targets, if they're receivers, if they don't get carries, touches, if they're running backs. You just have to have that. So, but hey, that's part of the studying that you do for fantasy and trying to kind of get yourself a good fantasy football team. All right. Anything else on the agenda? We've got Minnesota, Chicago, Monday Night Football tonight.
Yeah.
So an interesting one. 2 teams with, Chicago still trying to figure out what Caleb Williams.
Ben Johnson debut, of course. Right?
Johnson's debut there. And then Minnesota, of course, J.J. McCarthy taking over.
I'm so intrigued.
And will it be, again, Will O'Donnell, right? O'Donnell, right? Is the head coach.
Kevin O'Connell.
Thank you. O'Connell. Will O'Connell be the quarterback whisperer here again for the second straight year? He did it with Sam Darnold last year. McCarthy obviously got hurt, never played. Now he gets the reins. They think obviously very highly of him. They let Darnold walk. So that's going to be fascinating. Can the quarterback whisperer keep doing what he's been doing?
Well, I'll jump all over that real quick, Lerch. I'll tell you this. Okay. Now I can say it. All the fantasy drafts are over. I think the Vikings have their next Patrick Mahomes. Okay. Wow. Here's it is. Okay. A couple years ago, I took 2 quarterbacks back to back in the 9th and 10th rounds in my year that I ended up winning the championship.
I remember that.
It was Kirk Cousins and Patrick Mahomes. And the reason I took those 2 is I thought Kirk was a floor guy. I wasn't sure his ceiling, but Patrick Mahomes, I was swinging for the fences. I just had a feeling about him. And then it all worked out. I won the championship. In the Quad Cities League, and I actually have him in a couple of our other leagues too, but he's just a backup. But I believe it's a Quad Cities League. It's the league I have him. He is my starting quarterback.
You're rolling.
And I have a stack with him and Justin Jefferson, and I think he's going to win me the league. So I think Kevin O'Connell is 1,000% a quarterback whisperer. He's done it with everybody he's ever had, whether it's been Kirk Cousins, wherever he's been in other places beyond Minnesota. Look at his quarterback history. Look at that what it is right now with Sam Darnold grabbing him off the scrap heap, and he delivered this unbelievable season. I think J.J. McCarthy is the next quarterback in line to continue this offensive wizardry and add another quarterback to his resume. I think he's going to go off with the Vikings. They won 14 games last year, and I think they have their franchise quarterback for now and the future. And I think he is going to stun people starting tonight, but it's going to be if you check your Chinese calendar, the year of J.J. McCarthy, baby.
It's not a bad bet based on everything that you said there. I like them a lot too. And if you were just going to go essentially quarterback 0 and just draft one at the end of the draft and give up literally nothing but a very late round pick to get your starting quarterback, he would have been the guy I would have put at the top of that list of the guys, because Lawrence, could he bounce back? Sure. But I don't know. I'd rather go with the new fish. And certainly the fact that they let Darnold go, is an indication of what they think McCarthy can do. I mean, because Darnold was really effective last year. They won a lot of football games.
14.
You don't just let a guy like that walk, because you got a rook in the building. I mean, they have faith. So
look at the supporting cast, Lerch. Aaron Jones, Jordan Mason, Justin Jefferson. I know Jordan Addison is suspended for a couple of games. TJ Hawkinson, this offensive line is
roster. Both sides of the ball, they're pretty solid, and their coach seems to be kind of a good steadying influence on them. So I don't disagree with that. I don't think that's bad at all. Other teams that performed this week, pretty impressed with the Chargers, the way they took care of business against the Chiefs down in Brazil.
Yeah.
Indianapolis, as we mentioned, very impressive. Cincinnati, not impressive. Vegas, a good win for them. The rookie, Cam Ward, looked like a rookie for Tennessee.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Although Denver didn't manhandle them. They covered that spread, 8.5. I got on it. Thank you, Sean Payton, not kicking that late field goal. I was like, way to go, Sean. Don't do it.
Come on. Vegas is sick. They're
so good with spreads.
The Saints were a 6.5 point dog. They lose by 7. The Denver game, the final score is 8 difference. It's 8.5. Get
Falcons, Tampa Bay, 2.5. Game was decided by 3.
How do they do this?
New Orleans, Arizona, 6.5. Game was decided by 7. It's unbelievable. I know. That's why picking against the spread is so hard. We've been doing it for years. It's so hard. Your heart gets broken. So many times. There were 3 games yesterday where my heart was broken, but then I got one back with Sean Payton making that decision.
Right, it goes back and forth.
51-yard field goal, and his kicker going like, "Let me kick it," and Payton saying, "No, we're running the clock. We're not doing this. Like, what the heck? But he didn't want to give him field position because they were only down 8. Let me punt it, get him backed up. Their offense hasn't shown anything all day. Let me put the pressure on the rookie rather than, have my kicker potentially miss something that he could make.
Worked out.
51 yarders, very makeable for a guy like Will Lutz.
Yeah, right.
But you know what? If I don't feel like it's 100% and I can bury him and I have a little more faith in my defense and their lack of offensive execution, maybe that's what I want to do. That was a very unconventional decision by Sean Payton, but it resulted in them winning the game. So you can call it as unconventional as you want. If it results in winning a game, it's a good decision. He made a good decision regardless of whether you agreed with the decision or not. So that was very, very impressive. Christian McCaffrey, a lot of for fantasy, didn't have a great game, although he caught the ball a lot. But his numbers were solid and they end up winning. Although again, I'm not a San Francisco fan this year. I don't see it, but they did.
What about this guy? As Old Yank says, Ricky Pearsall.
Pearsall looked good.
And what a story, man. For those who forgot, Ricky Pearsall got shot. He was leaving an autograph signing, and then some crazy person came over and shot him. And thankfully, there was a police officer very close to the area that was able to immediately reach out and get help immediately. And he was able to live, of course, obviously, and get the medical help he needs. And now finally gets a year away from that after all the craziness of last year. 4 catches, 108 yards. The long was that 45-yarder, which was a beautiful throw from Purdy where he gave his guy a chance. Ricky Pearsall, maybe the 49ers do have a wide receiver we haven't been talking about. It's Ricky Pearsall.
Quite possibly. He's getting the targets, that's for sure, with everything that's going on there and Ayuk out. That's a big opportunity right now there for a guy.
For sure.
He was definitely on my short list in fantasy. I don't think I got him in any of our leagues.
I definitely didn't.
But I wanted him. I just got sniped by me a couple of times. I just was waiting a little too long. Got a little too greedy.
I'll tell you. Here's
good.
one randomly that I wanted that I didn't get in any league, but I wanted him so bad, and he was great. Emeka Egbuka, I wanted so bad. He was so high, but I just kept convincing myself, maybe one more round. And I was an idiot. If I wanted him so bad, I just should have pulled the trigger and took him. I didn't. And the one time I was going to take him, Joe Bardo, our fantasy football expert from RotoWire.com, he was like 2 slots ahead of me, whatever the round was, and he took him, and I'm like, no, damn it. And he got me.
I wonder about Egbuka is this. Clearly, Evans is still Evans, and he looked good. And used him a lot as a decoy yesterday, or drawing 2 guys so that Egbuka could do what he could do. So that's number one. You got to have Mike Evans in order for Egbuka to do what he's doing. The other part of it is when Godwin does come back, and I know we're weeks away, still several.
Yeah, October somewhere, maybe.
What will that be like?
It's fair.
And do you at the time of year when you really want your guys to start popping and you want to start rolling towards the playoffs, if his workload gets cut back, even though his numbers were impressive yesterday, and that was mainly because he got 2 touchdowns.
Of course.
He actually only had 4 catches. And I think he only had 5 or 6 targets, Boy Green. So when you really put that in the blender, like that's not like a, 10 target, 11 target, 12 target kind of thing.
Right. That's not sustainable catching 2 touchdowns.
It's not sustainable. So yes, that was a good start. But look more closely at the numbers before you get mind blown and start trading away, your Kyren Williams, Egbuka for Kyren Williams. And you say, I'm on board with that, man. He scored 26 points this week on 4 catches, 2 of them touchdowns. That just doesn't happen every week. When his targets come up and we see him getting as many targets as Mike Evans gets every week in that offense, okay, then I probably will be sold because that is a team that should score a lot of points. And, as long as Mayfield is in there, that should be a rock solid pick. But I liked him too. My problem with him, and I think the reason I didn't get him in any leagues is just simply because I just felt he was going a little too high.
His stock shot up. Yeah.
Round or 2 lower, and I would have picked him. I saw other more definitive players who I don't have to worry about when Godwin comes back, what's going to happen, that I could have got in that same world. So I went with other guys. But I did like him, and that was a good first week. But
I'll tell you this, random fantasy thoughts here. A receiver that I have in almost every league. I just couldn't believe he was available so late. I'm like looking around like, what are you guys doing? But all right, I'll take him. I just think he has a really high floor. Khalil Shakir at the Buffalo Bills.
Sure.
I felt I'm getting him as my 4th or 5th receiver. Either he's a top reserve for me, or in our league where we have 3 receivers starting in a flex, he gets in there against Courtney and scores 12. That's exactly what I want from Khalil on a week-to-week basis. PPR machine. catch it, rack him, let's go. And I can't believe he is just all reliable. And again, he's coming off an injury too, which I think, so my expectations were a little bit lower considering. But man, I've gotten Khalil Shakir in like every league, and he's like the Bills' #1 receiver. Although Keon Coleman, there was some love for him earlier. He's a more volatile player, a much higher ceiling.
I mean, that one touchdown that he got was off a deflection. That was kind of lucky.
Yeah, of course, on 4th down, no less too. Or that's also how the Bills could have lost. That deflects off. That's 7 points off the board, which again is crazy.
I never got to say this earlier when we were talking about the Bills. So let me just quickly mention it now, so I get it out there. The Bills have been the unfortunate recipient of bad luck. All right. Sure. Was it the 13 seconds?
That's correct. Yeah.
We could go back.
The overtime rules where they never got a chance to get the ball back.
Miracle. I mean, there's just been so many. But in recent times, they've just had some bad breaks. Sure. What was fascinating to me about that game last night and the way it ends up falling is that they got some breaks. Maybe this is going to be their year. Clearly, their quarterback is, if he's not the best, he's in the top 2. Terrific. So they have the quarterback, and he can carry them. And at times last night, he did.
Yeah. Sure.
So will they get the breaks? It's just those things. The fumble goes their way. Derrick Henry, of all people, coughs one up. The deflection lands in the hands of Keon Coleman in the end zone.
2 Josh Allen interceptions were dropped. There's 2. The first one of the first drives of the game, Josh Allen sails Khalil Shakir. It goes right into a Ravens hand, and he drops it. So there was a couple of dropped interceptions.
To win championships, you have to have those things. Those things have to go your way.
Yes.
And so that was a nice start to the season for the Bills. Maybe things are going to go their way. They've had so many things not go their way. Maybe this will be the season. Although I know Crazy Anthony, when we talked to him later this week, will be like, "Oh, don't talk about that. I can't do it." He gets all crazy because he's a typical Buffalo Bills nut. He just always thinks it's going to go the wrong way. But I'm feeling I'm feeling really good if I'm a Bills fan today. Really good.
I probably wouldn't because they're going to lose to the Jets this week. But for now, I would. Yeah.
That will be interesting. Can the Jets stop that offense? Ooh, you had problems with Aaron Rodgers, man. I don't know about that one. But we'll see. The Bills won't be amped this coming week like they were for that game. I mean, that game that was 2 teams that have been meeting each other for the last 2 years in the playoffs.
There's extra chutzpah with that.
Around last year was an epic game. Yeah, Sunday night football. It was a lot.
Right. This is a Jets-Bills game at 1:00. Right.
By the way, is that Buffalo or is that in New York? Where is it?
In New York.
It's in New York. All right. Jets starting home this year, huh? Wow.
I like it. They started road last year, so that's what I predicted. I thought that the gods were going to give it back the other way, and they did. So
the Giants are starting road.
Yeah, the Jets they go home, road, and then our Week 5 game where we're going to be reunited. Lerch will be at the Jets-Cowboys game. So it's home, road, and then that Jets-Cowboys game, Week 5.
Giants are going to start the season 1-5. Looking at that schedule, unless they beat the Cowboys.
Lerch, they're going 0-6.
1-4, I should say. 1-4
or whatever. I don't
just look at the first 5 games. I know it could be. They won't lose to New Orleans. I don't think they will.
Okay.
No, they won't lose to New Orleans. But every other game, they could beat the Cowboys too. I thought they could get this game against.
I don't think they can. I don't think they're going to beat the Cowboys. I just don't see that.
They won't be favored. I don't think they won't be favored because the game.
I would imagine not. Right. Wait. Right. That's the Week 2 game, right?
Probably
so we'll know right now. Okay, Lerch. I'm sure there's a line out on that.
I haven't looked at it, so go ahead. Get me the early line, and I'll take a guess.
Oh yeah, I got it. Okay. All right. What do you think the line is?
I'm going to say Cowboys -5.5.
Nailed it. 5.5.
Wow. Okay.
Nailed it. 5.5.
Pretty good. I'm always pretty good with spreads. That's a thought about that. Less than a touchdown. Again, division.
Well, it's a little less than I thought though, because a home team normally gets 2.5 or 3 points automatically. So to only get 2.5 above that, that's interesting. But we'll see.
Yeah. The Dallas is 0-1, just like the Giants. It may happen different ways.
You may look very different several times, yes.
But they're both 0-1. Hey, look, your Jets. In all honesty, I mean, they're tied for second place.
They are. We're 1 win out of first place, Lerch.
And Buffalo very well could have lost last night, and you could have been tied for first. Okay,
Lerch. I never got to
miracle. You would have had 4 0-1 teams in that league.
I never got to send out the tweet because the Bills blew it, but I had a tweet. It just hit me in the third quarter, so I put it in my drafts and said, "Please, God's let it happen." When the Bills lost,
kill it first.
yeah, when the Bills lost, I was going to say the Jets hold on to first place in the AFC East after Bills lose to the Ravens because, of course, everyone would have been 0-1, so it would have been hilarious. But unfortunately, when I'm like, damn it, so I had to delete the tweet in my drafts. That would have been great.
Those planned tweets always go wrong. They always go wrong.
Yeah,
it's just one of those crazy things in life.
Yeah.
All right, let's tell people about what we've got this week because we've got a really good week. We will be back again live on Wednesday. We'll have our NFL insider back, Dalton Wasserman, will be joining us. So 11 o'clock on Wednesday again. We'll be prompt just like we were today. But we'll be Jets, Giants, and Bills again. Insiders galore. Tell people about that.
Yeah, we'll have Ed Valentine, our New York Giants guru from Big Blue View, getting us ready for that Giants-Cowboys game. So that'll be a lot of fun. Our Jets and Bills, and this will happen twice a year, obviously, they're facing each other. So we're going to get the Jets perspective on the Bills and the Bills perspective on the Jets. So if Jet fans who are watching and listening in right now, you're going to want to hear both of those interviews. One from a Jets perspective, Jake Asman, and then the other from Anthony Prohaska getting ready for that game. So that'll be a nice little double dip this week. I'm very much looking forward to that. Mm-hmm. Of course, we have Joe Bartle on Fridays, fantasy football content. So for any of you out there that have fantasy football questions, we'll get to recap week 1 and set you up more so for week 2 on that Friday at 10:30.
Yeah, that's been going great every week. And please think about getting questions set up in advance, coming into the comments that day, because we try to get to everything that makes any sense in the comments. So come early and often to that one on Friday. It's always live at 10:30.
Yeah, for sure. So that'll be awesome. We will record it at a little after 11 o'clock, and then it will come out shortly thereafter. Our NFL picks against the spread. We pick every single game against the spread, excluding Thursday Night Football. And we do that every Friday.
Kick this week. I got my Tookus kicked, but Boy Green, you're saying everybody struggled this week.
Yeah, huh? So I'm hoping for something tonight to get me a little bit more to respectability because I'm in a not so pleasant position.
Can you get over 500?
I cannot.
Is anybody going to be over 500?
Okay, wait, let me see. I have it right here in my notes.
I know I'm not. I can't.
No, no one can.
Claw my way back to anything. Wow, that's great because I thought I was going to be chasing already after 1 week. So I'm glad to hear that a lot of people struggle because I was watching these games go down. I was like, oh, I'm on the wrong side of every one of these games. What is happening?
Yeah, so that'll be a cool thing is that you guys totally get involved in that. We'll do our NFL picks against the spread. On a week-to-week basis, it'll be 3 of us. It'll be me and Manchild on screen. It'll be our NFL insider, Matt Lombardo, and we will go through every game. We have several other cast of recurring characters that'll be submitting their picks in, like Intern Ed and Joe Bartle and Dalton Wasserman of PFF, and you, the fans. On our Instagram feed on Fridays, you're allowed to pick every game against the spread, and we take the majority of your guys' votes, and that ends up being the picks. And the fans, you didn't do much better either. So I just want to throw that out in the universe. So if you want to control that and make it better, feel free to vote on that. Again, that's every Friday for 24 hours on our Instagram story. That is at MC Show Digital. So Jets, Giants, Bills, Lerch. We'll also probably do a Syracuse visit. They play Colgate this week, so we'll see if we can get a prominent member of the Colgate coaching staff to join us on the show.
Talk about comebacks. What a comeback for Syracuse this week. They look like they were going to lose to Connecticut.
They should have lost. That was a disgusting showing.
Another great fourth quarter comeback. Wow.
A win's a win, I guess, but God, that was Syracuse looked awful.
And how about Fran Brown? Fran Brown, if you didn't hear this, folks, the coach of Syracuse after the game pulled out an old high school pulled one out of the old high school playbook in front of the crowd as the crowd's dispersing. Syracuse has just had a great victory, celebrations galore. Wow, we pulled this thing out in the last seconds of the game, yada yada. They celebrate for 2 or 3 minutes, and then he lines the entire team up like the movie Miracle. Gets them on the end zone line and has the entire team, punters, kickers, and everything, running sprints.
Now, I'll tell you, the sprints, quote
it was kind of lame,
were a little lackadaisical. It looked like there were some people half chopping it, but no. Hey, whatever works, man. Again, win's a win, especially for, we talk about the NFL, there's 17 games. In college, you have even less opportunities for Syracuse. You got 12. So, hey, man, for me and for Syracuse fans, it's the blitz for 6. How do we get to 6 games and bowl eligibility? That should be the goal if you can even make that goal this season. And UConn was an eminently winnable game that you had to win, and they found a way to win. So I guess I should probably give them a little bit more love, but that was an ugly way to do it.
So Fran Brown didn't do again.
Yeah, right.
Again.
Whistle.
So they were throwing up and saying, who do you play for? What's the name of your team?
Yeah,
until finally
that's a
gets-
great
I
speech.
played for
I love it.
Syracuse University, baby.
Yeah.
Let's go. Yeah. Okay.
We didn't quite get
Well, they did find a way to get a win. That was boy. They had to have that one. Oh,
That was
my
disgusting.
goodness.
So we have a full week of content, but you can notice a theme: football, 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 and
Yeah.
more football, because that's what the show is all about, Lord. So why don't you tell us that as we're heading out of here? For someone that's just tuning in right now to the Manchild Show, Boy Green Digital, they're like, "What the hell is this? What's going on? What is the We talk about this. You were just saying, hey, what's the identity of the Jets? What's the identity of this show? What is this show, Lurch, and what does it bring to the table?
I mean, it's New York football. I mean, that's really what it is. It's the Jets, it's the Giants, it's the Bills. It's Syracuse, so I guess we happen to live right in the shadows of the footprint of the university. So we'll give you some Syracuse coverage as well. Our radio show for years was located right here in central New York. So even though that's where we sit, we kind of have always regionalized and talked about the entire state of New York and the teams that play here. And we are definitely very, very football centric. So we'll cover all those teams. We have insiders from the Jets and the Giants and the Bills that join us every week, along with other peripheral guests. We check in on Syracuse University during football and basketball season. Every week we have insiders. And at this point, we do a feature called Enemy Territory. We call it Inside Enemy Territory, where we get somebody from the opponent. Sometimes we get the head coach. Sometimes we get an assistant coach. Sometimes we get a player. Sometimes we get the play-by-play voice. Sometimes we get a beat writer. But we try and get somebody who's intimately around the team, has intimate knowledge of the team, and we kind of get a breakdown of the game, which we did last week with Mike Crispino, the play-by-play voice of UConn, who covered the Knicks for 20-plus years. And I had a nice little exchange with Mike at the end of that interview about the Knicks and the firing of Tom Thibodeau. I could see it in his face. He was not happy, as a lot of Knicks fans haven't been, about why they fired Thibodeau, and now have Mike Brown in the fold.
The Mike Brown era.
That was fun to talk. Crispino lit right up when I started talking Knicks with him. He really enjoyed that. So we bring like those kind of people onto the show. I'm going to think, Boy Green, in a not too distant future. I don't have anything scheduled yet, but I'm going to try to put together a series for our channel of kind of I'm trying to think of what I want to call it. I think that's why I'm still in the think phase a little bit. But basically, professional broadcasters, people who have worked their way up the ranks and are doing significant things in the world of broadcast, who happen to be connected to me in some way. I have been connected through Syracuse University, through working at a radio and a television station for over 25, 30 years, with a lot of people in the sports industry, most of whom I keep in really good touch with. And I want to do kind of like personality pieces on these different people.
Yeah, I like
so
it.
without naming names and putting anything out there, but there are significant people who are Major League play-by-play voices, several of them, NBA play-by-play voices, several of them, NFL play-by-play voices, several of them, big-time hosts. One of my close friends is the host of all college football and basketball stuff on CBS National. So we're going to get some of these folks and we're going to reminisce. We're going to talk about when we used to drink in bars in college. It'll be everything from that to how'd you get there? What's it like sitting in that booth on that set with these people? Did you ever envision it? When you were that, bright-eyed, 22-year-old at Syracuse University, did you ever think that's where you were going to land? And that'll be an interesting, fun conversation to have with those folks.
Sounds exciting.
Because part of the cool part of it is that I know these guys. So there'll be an intimacy, I think, to the interviews that'll go just beyond, hey, tell us about your path. The questions, I think, will be more personal. And I think that'll be fascinating to kind of get inside the minds of some of these broadcasters, some of who are doing terrific work for their teams. So I'm going to do that. I just got to kind of get it on the calendar, figure out a day of the week where I can kind of free myself up, and then they'll probably be recorded. And then we'll drop them in a series, and we'll create a playlist just like we do for so many of the other things. If you're just a Jets fan, we have a Jets playlist. If you're just a Giants fan, we have a Giants playlist. If you're just a Bills guy, we have a Bills playlist. We have an SU playlist as well. And we're going to be doing some Survivor coverage coming up. Yeah. We're just a couple of weeks away.
3 weeks away, I believe.
3 weeks away. I'm going to have to start freeing up my Wednesday nights because we're going to do a Survivor post-game show every Wednesday night right after the show at 10 o'clock at night. That's going to be fun.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Or 9:30, right? It's an hour and a half now.
Well, technically, the episode ends at 9:30, so as soon as you want to come on, I guess we can pop on.
Right at 9:30 or closely thereafter.
All right, there you go.
Man. Boom. And we're going to have Survivor Insiders. Brett LaBelle is our main man. He's our main squeeze.
Yes.
He was on the show during Survivors versus Gen X. He's been working with us for years. We're going to try and bring on some of his friends. We might have multiple former Survivor players chatting with us in the post game. It's going to be a lot of fun. So we're going to do Survivor post game starting up in just a couple of weeks. So there's a lot of cool things that we're doing on our channel. We're definitely very diverse. But if you like any of those things, you can dip your toe in any of those ponds. And don't forget, we're just 30 subscribers away from giving away this. Grab it off the wall, Boy Green. Hold on. Let me just
go ahead.
Camera so you can.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Let's see what we got here. All right.
Tyree is going out the door here. Okay, David.
Yeah.
All right, there he is. David.
Let's go full screen.
Ooh, bring it up. There it is. Ooh, that is beautiful right there. All right, David Tyree, autographed. Okay, the catch. There he is. Harrison hanging on him. Yep. Stop those guys.
There you go. 30 subscribers away. Folks, let me reiterate that because I know we're streaming live on multiple platforms. We're streaming live on the Manchild Show Boy Green Digital Facebook page, the Manchild Show Boy Green Digital YouTube page, and my YouTube page at BoyGreen25. You're watching this live or after the fact. Go over right now to youtube.com/MC Show Digital. Again, MC Show Digital. That is the username for the YouTube channel, and it's free to subscribe. It costs you no money. And if you subscribe to the channel, you're eligible, of course, if you're one of our first 300 for that David Tyree autograph photo. And in general, moving forward, we'll do other giveaways. And if you're one of the first 300, obviously you'll continue to be in all of those other future subscriber giveaways. So get your friends, your family, everybody to sign up. Again, it is free to do at MC Show Digital. Be a part of our growing family.
Okay, so that David Tyree, it's got days probably left on my wall.
I imagine, yeah.
All right, but thanks to everybody who has already subscribed. We do appreciate it. Continue to spread the word. Continue to hit the thumbs up and like our videos. That costs you nothing. Super easy. Neither does subscribing for that matter. And when we get our subscribers up to a certain level, we're going to create a VIP club as well. We're going to put out some additional insider content. We'll get you even more strongly connected to the show if you'd like to do that. So that's coming up once we meet some of our guidelines in terms of subscribers. But we're excited to be here. We just passed, by the way, Boy Green, 75,000 views. I put a little drop last week about 70, and before I even finished putting out the post, we were already at 75,000 views. Wow. To imagine that we've done that in just 2 months, it may seem unimpressive to people who have millions and millions of views, but the fact that we only started 2 months ago, we started with 0 subscribers, it's pretty impressive. So we thank every one of you who are already a subscriber, and we hope you continue to join us for our sessions because there's a lot more to come. This is only going to get better. It's only going to get bigger, and you can become a part of it and say that you were there at the ground floor level right when we started it and remember the old times because I'm sure that we'll evolve and change as time passes on. All right, well, that'll sign us off here for a Monday live show. Again, we're back with you live on Wednesday. We've got Ed Valentine, Anthony Prohaska, Jake Asman all joining us, insiders for all things Jets, Giants, Bills.
And one more. How could we have possibly forgotten? He tried to call us multiple times during the show, for Pete's sake.
Tomorrow.
Bud will be tomorrow at 11 o'clock. Brunch with Bud Poliquin. So don't miss that. That's a slice of heaven you're never going to want to miss on a week to week.
There you go. The always entertaining Bud Poliquin, who I guess, why don't you call him back? I don't want to.
I don't know. I'm going to have to get to that now, I guess, now that the show's over. Can we go on a little bit longer here? Is that
it's probably a technical question, so
probably. All right, I'll call him.
I don't want to get into that whole fray with him again.
It's probably for the best.
My internet's down and I don't know how to use my phone. It's going to be something. Bud's always
that's another one of the lineups. There you go. Should be fun.
All right, folks. Thanks so much again for tuning in here on a Monday. Again, content coming down all week. We'll see you again live on Wednesday at 11. Until then, everybody, take care. Be good.